Good evening, I am Adventure Argonaut. This is the golden news, the news from the past week and the very important events that happened during that time will be recounted and discussed. But first, let's see my streams. Are they working? Are my streams functional? Yes, Kick, Twitch, Rumble, everything looks fine. So let's get to the business then. So first is Japan that was cucked or humiliated by US over Iran stuff and a bunch of other Iran-related news. So let's see what we have here. So what is this clip? Let's have a look.
One question, why didn't you tell US allies in Europe and Asia like Japan about the war before attacking Iran?
So we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? No, you believe in surprise, I think much more so than us.
Yeah, so of course this is according to Asian mentality, that is very insulting to refer to Pearl Harbor in that manner. This is like, but I don't think, the Japanese Prime Minister really said anything to, strike back or to defend Japan. So she's, treason by her inaction or something, basically. Maybe she should have insulted them back, America, I mean. And huge protest in Japan after Takaichi's disgraceful visit. After Trump humiliated her in the Oval Office, the people are angry, streets are full, the government is exposed. Takaichi flew 6,000 miles to be mocked about Pearl Harbor. She stayed for dinner, she signed the deals. Now Japan is rising, not behind her, against her. Well, that's good if it's actually happening. Of course, I don't know whether this... I wonder if this is written by AI. Some have said that this style is very AI, like, this. Now Japan is rising, not behind her, against her, Yeah, protests are huge, silence is broken, shame is in public. Shame is public. Trump insulted Japan. Takaichi smiled, people will not forget. So I don't know how accurate this guy's information is. Or is it, because it suits his narrative to say so. So I don't know. Like, there's probably are people upset about that, rightfully so. But still, this is just a claim, not saying that that's the truth. And the foolish Prime Minister of Japan has gone and paid tribute to the pilot who dropped the atomic bomb on Japan. Iran Tavane, I don't know what that means. But yeah, this is also like, I wonder, has any other Prime Minister, Japanese Prime Minister, done that in the past? I would say paid tribute to that pilot, because yeah, I don't think it's appropriate for them to do so. Yeah, Japanese PM visits Arlington Cemetery honoring American soldiers, including the pilot who dropped the nuclear bomb on Nagasaki. Yeah, I don't think that's good. And the US Treasury lifts oil sanctions on Iran until April 19th. I'm not going to read all that, but I guess it's true, because no community note is saying it's bullshit. So, and we have to trust the community notes, right? So is Trump cocking on the war, or who really knows what's going on with the war? And yeah, Twitter is quite censored on the issue as well, and you can never be sure what is disinfo and what is truth when it comes to war, especially this one. And Japan has agreed to pay Iran in Chinese yuan in exchange for the unhindered passage of its ship through the Strait of Hormuz. So if this is true, it sort of contradicts the deal that the Japanese Prime Minister did with America, because I don't think America would like this. So it appears that all countries wishing for their ships to pass through the Strait of Hormuz may be required to pay in Iran in yuan. Uh, so I guess there's a deal between them. I mean, China and Iran there, obviously. And she says that Netanyahu is now begging for other countries to join the war. Israel is losing a war they started. Well, I think the bigger argument here is that another video of Netanyahu surfaced because, the previous videos, they were quite obviously sus. And here he's outside surrounded by people. So at least it's not obviously as fake. And I'm not saying, because lots of people have been speculating he's dead, and I think that's still a possibility because, of course, this could be Netanyahu, and there was a very good reason why he was absent for a few weeks and why there were these AI videos. Maybe he just, was in protective custody, or because he was afraid he would be assassinated by Iran or something, but they didn't want to admit it that he was just in hiding because it would make him look weak and foolish. So they made the AI videos to make it seem like he's not afraid or something. I don't know if that's the case, but that's a possibility. Or of course he could be dead. But anyway, like this guy, this could actually be Netanyahu, or it could very well be, like, even if it's not AI or anything, it could be a real person. But in politics they have been using lookalikes, Freudian slip. They've been using lookalikes for millennia basically, and especially nowadays there are other ways to create lookalikes, like sort of Mission Impossible style masks are a thing that somebody could just put on a mask on himself to make him look like Netanyahu. And allegedly there have been such people who played President Biden during his term at times as well. And there was just fairly recently the case of Jim Carrey appearing in public that looked like Jim Carrey but looked a bit different, and people were saying that's not Jim Carrey, and then it was revealed like, no, actually it wasn't Jim Carrey, it was some comedian or something pretending to be Jim Carrey for whatever reason, which weird story, but that just goes to show that you can just if you have the resources, you can fake somebody's presence in many different ways. So what's this? Just 5 minutes before Trump's announcement to halt the attacks on Iran, massive trades reportedly hit the market. So I don't know, what's the time frame on halting the attacks on Iran? Is it until April 19th, like the other thing said, or what? Anyway, in one move, $1.5 billion in S&P 500 ES futures was bought, while 192 million in oil CL futures was sold. These orders were 4 to 6 times larger than anything else at the time. The trader seemingly made huge gains, unusual. So let me explain what just happened. 5 minutes before the president announced a halt to attacks on Iran, someone placed $1.5 billion bet on stocks going up and dumped the 192 million in oil. 5 minutes. These trades were 4 to 6 times larger than anything else in the entire market. Whoever did this wasn't guessing. You don't risk 1.5 billion on a hunch. There was zero public indication this announcement was coming, no leaks, no press, no nothing. The only people who were in the room when the decision was made, or only people who knew were the people, in the room. Someone in that room picked up a phone, and within minutes they made more money than most Americans will earn in 1,000 lifetimes in a single trade on a war that cost you $4 a gallon in gas and 16 billion in tax dollars. American citizens funded this war. Politicians are profiting from it. This is not the first time. Every major announcement from this administration has had massive suspicious trades right before it dropped. Tariff reversals, policy shifts, war decisions. So is the whole Iran war just a scam for Trump and his cronies to make money? If that's true, I sort of respect the hustle or something. It's so absurd. This is the most blatant insider trading operation in the history of American politics. It's not even close, and it's happening over and over in broad daylight. You would go to federal prison for trading on a tip from your cousin. These people are front-running war decisions with billion-dollar bets, and nobody will ever ask a single question. Nobody will be investigated. Nobody will be charged. By tomorrow, this will be buried under the next satisfying headline, just like last time and time before that. The game is rigged, and they're not even trying to hide it anymore. Well, yeah, if they don't have to hide it, because the people aren't going to do anything about it, so yeah, why would they bother anymore? Oh yeah, there was another video of, like, I think that was before. Like, this is one of the most obvious AI, like Mike Huckabee and Netanyahu here, and then we can see here that Huckabee is a reptilian shapeshifter, quite obviously, or just AI. But just goes to show, like, even if the most latest videos of Netanyahu, assuming they are real, like, why did they put up all these fake AI videos? Is it just to confuse people, to like, ha ha ha, we're gonna make them think he's dead, and then he's not dead, or what? Because you can, they say that the first victim in any war is the truth, and nowadays it's even more true than back in the past, because we have more sophisticated methods for lying and fabricating stuff. Anyway, say what you will about Iran, their missiles have executed more Epstein clients than our courts have, referring, I guess, to America. Well, I guess you can refer to any country's courts, basically. And so is Catgirl Kulak here wrong? Is him or her or Zer wrong about this, that, Iran missiles have executed more Epstein clients than any courts? Like, I don't think he's wrong. The first public state appearance of Israeli PM Netanyahu. I'm here with Israel's defense ministers, Mossad Air Force chief, and a civil officer. So I don't know. Yep. Is this the video about the
terrorist chief?
The sleeve? Yeah, I think this is people saying because he's like the shirt sleeve sort of appears there and stuff. Like, I already talked about this. Like, whether this is real or AI still doesn't change the fact that the earlier ones were clearly AI, and also this might be the real Netanyahu if it's not AI, or it might be somebody acting like him. The Iranian foreign minister addressing the world. Let me get this one thing straight. Egypt charges 200 to 700,000 per transit through the Suez Canal. Large container ships or tankers can exceed $1 million. Panama charges 100,000 to 450,000 per transit. Large Neo-Panamax vessels cost up to 500,000 to transit the Panama Canal. Turkey charges fees for the Bosphorus Strait. Canada charges fees for the St. Lawrence Seaway. United States charges fees for the St. Lawrence Seaway. Iran has refused to collect fees on the Strait of Hormuz for decades, yet they made it free despite the defamation, sanctions, and isolation, and yet you want me to believe that Iran is the bad guy here? Well, why don't they collect why don't they collect fees, though? If everybody else is doing it, couldn't they do it? Or is it because, the other countries are okay with these other countries collecting fees? But if Iran had done it like 20 years ago or 30 years ago or whenever, like, maybe they would be like, no, Iran, you can't do that. Or is it truly that Iran is just so like less grifterous than the other countries? I guess that's a possibility too. Oh yeah, and Yair Netanyahu, so son of Benjamin Netanyahu, is at the Jewish convention at CPAC in Hungary, while his father Bibi, the main speaker, couldn't attend due to food poisoning. So anybody buying this shit, yeah, that's a bit sus. Like, if there's nothing wrong with Benjamin Netanyahu, why wasn't he there? Or like, either he's really afraid for his life, or there's something bad that's happened to him, or something. So Iranian missile arrived in Israel. Boom. So world is a safer place. The Israeli regime nuclear program has been decimated. Samsung option is gone. But if it's decimated, it's only one like the 10% of it, right? But like I don't know whether this is true, that their nuclear program is gone. Like if it is, that's great news, of course. But like because of course there's people saying it's not true and stuff. So I don't know what the truth here is. But supposedly the Dimona city of Dimona, where the nuclear program was hit. But yeah, don't know if the nuclear program can be disabled this easily. And some people have joked that all the Holocaust museums across the world, that they actually underneath every of those museums there's a nuke or something waiting for the Samsung option. And of course it's a joke, but like perhaps there's still a kernel of truth. Like even if the launch pads in Dimona were destroyed, if they had them, like it's possible they have other kinds of nukes in other places. We should have done this the day they killed JFK. Thanks, Iran, for destroying Israel's nuclear facility. The world forever owes you, says Jake Shields. So yeah, if they are destroying Israel's nuclear facilities, I think that's good news. Because Israel definitely shouldn't own a nuke. If assuming that nukes are even real, I don't know if they are, but like there's this conspiracy theory, quote unquote, going on that nukes aren't even real. And like that's one of like the first internet conspiracy theories I ever like discovered. That's like more than 20 years ago, when I just randomly looked up all sorts of weird stuff online, and then it's like ran into the conspiracy theory. And it's so old school and weird, especially like I remember some of those theories said that nukes might be that they only function within certain like latitudes, or so for I don't know why, according to that theory, or that maybe only during certain seasons, or like times of the year, or something, and don't know why. But like I just remember it sounded so weird, so it was difficult just to dismiss it based on that. Like if it was just complete bullshit, maybe it would have made more sense. So I don't know whether there's any truth to that claim or not, but maybe. Anyway, they've done it. The Iranians have done it, and this I think is the Saudi Arabian flag. Yes. So what was it? Yeah, because they bombed some like oil fields in Saudi Arabia, I guess, because some huge oil fields in Iran were also bombed and stuff. And this is what I voted for. What's this? Iran officially adds Israeli Masonic lodges to its military target bank. So is it only Israeli Masonic lodges? But like adding Masonic lodges as military targets does sound like a reasonable plan, if that's true. I don't know how reliable this China Global is as a source of information. Welcome Simpandala Pado, whatever. Welcome to stream. What is Aztec anime? Is it like Aztec anime? Tucker asked, was Iran about to get a nuke? Joe Kent replied, no, they've had a religious ruling against it since 2004. We had no intelligence that it was being disobeyed. And Joe Kent, of course, he was the counter-terrorism chief in America, but he resigned recently, supposedly because of his objections to the war or something. And moment Israel directly hits Russia today crew. So
along the border, including the Al-Marj outpost opposite Merkabah, and carried out drone strikes on the Al-Raheb site near Aitar al-Shab. Further rocket attacks were reported against Nahariya and a
no idea whether those people were hurt or stuff. Like, usually I don't sympathize too much with journalists, but yeah, it seems unfortunate. Even if they weren't hurt, but like, must be quite shocking to experience that. An explosion reported at Texas's largest oil refinery in Port Arthur. I think somebody said it's not the largest, but still it's an oil refinery in Texas. So it's quite coincidental that this is just happening now. Like, I don't know what's the official reason for this, but it doesn't sound just like a coincidence. Now, whether it was Iran, Mossad, or whoever, aliens that caused this, I don't know, but it sounds it's a bit weird. Isn't this the third plant to explode? First it was New Jersey, then Florida. So are there like at least 3 different like foundries or oil processing plants in America that are on fire or exploding right now? This is Corridon, Iowa, petroleum plant. So how many are there? So it's really a pure coincidence that all of America's refineries are exploding and burning down during this war. Don't think much of it. I have a feeling by the end of this war, the US won't have any left. Yeah, so who's doing it? I don't think Iran would have the capabilities of doing this. Like, is this like the theory has been thrown around that one reason for this war is so that Israel can destroy America, and like that might be one of the de facto results that come out of this war, or at least severely weaken America. Now, whether that's a good or a bad thing, that remains to be seen, I guess, and depends on your perspective. And Ukraine bombing Russia at the Primorsk oil terminal, Russia's largest Baltic export hub, handling 60% of its maritime oil exports, means that Europe is going to be plunged in the dark. How will Russia retaliate? So also Russian oil reserves are under attack. America, Iran, it's almost like, hey, Stolen Hellcat, welcome. Nice to see you too. Good morning. Am I a boss? Oh, damn, I have to pay you then. Oh yeah, you're one of the paid bots or something, right? But anyway, like, Russia, Iran, like all these different countries, their oil reserves or oil manufacturing thingies are getting destroyed. It's almost like, it's a concerted plan. Like maybe that's one of the real reasons for this war, to for whatever reason, to make, so countries have less oil to do whatever. I don't think it's just some, eco war psychos who just care too much about the environment and think oil is bad. I don't think that's the case, but it's a bit sus. Well, more than a bit sus. Iranian missile somehow slips through and hits Al-Aqsa, and the site Jews hope to rebuild at the third temple, or the third temple at. So once again, don't know whether this is true or AI or some former event. Yeah. And yeah, I already reported on this part stuff last week, I think, but yeah, this is just a video of the missile hitting the RT crew, And Pirate Nation says, I can see this clip in the EU. What a joke. Yeah, this post from RT has been withheld in the United Kingdom, European Union in response to a legal demand. Why? Why? Is it just because it's RT or what? Iran hit a refinery in Texas that was mainly for Israel petroleum fuels. Like, was it really Iran? How did they hit it? Like, did they? I don't think they've shot missiles at America. Like, was it sabotage or something? But see, EU and UK, they are promoting freedom of expression, unlike Iran or China or Russia or something. But like EU is so fucking free. And French NATO General Yakovlev, sounds a bit Russian to me though. Joining Trump in the Strait of Hormuz is like buying a ticket for the Titanic after hitting the iceberg. I like the way he phrased it.
On a 5 raisons de lui dire non.
Okay, so long video, I'm gonna watch it. Drones, fog of war. I guess that for the refinery, that's a possibility, I guess. But yeah, I haven't heard any like details about that. Trump threatens to invade Greenland again if Europe doesn't help him against Iran. If our so-called NATO allies continue their refusal to help with opening the Strait of Hormuz, which would be very easy, quick, simple, and safe for them to do, now that the war has been largely won, I may have to reaffirm our commitment to securing Greenland for our national security. I sincerely hope it doesn't come to that, but we'll see. The ball is in Europe's court. We funded NATO for decades, getting nothing in return. Now it's time for them to pay us back. One way or another. I rebuilt our military, the strongest in the world, in my first term. I will use it to its fullest extent to secure the safety of the United States and the world, in whatever way I see fit. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So this is just a screenshot, but if this is real, I don't see anybody claiming it's BS. So it's just like people are pointing out that his comments are very unhinged and contradictory. Like one day he says something, and then a few days later he says like the complete opposite. And while it might be some sort of, well, it is a tactic, I guess, to keep everybody guessing, including his enemies that are quite numerous nowadays, I can imagine. But it's very confusing and makes him seem unhinged. Whether he truly is unhinged or not is hard to say, but his behavior certainly is. And Tucker Carlson asked Joe Kent, so the counterterrorism guy who resigned, why the Thomas Crook's surveillance tapes haven't been released. Kent's answer blew him away. He explained that the government deliberately withheld. Of course, Thomas Crooks is the guy who supposedly shot at Trump last summer. He explained the government. No, it wasn't last summer. It was like a year and a half ago already, right? Whatever. He explained the government deliberately withholds information to create noise with conspiracy theories, so the actual question never gets answered. Tucker, the current president, was the subject of a near-successful assassination attempt, and we are just not going to look into very obviously or divulge information that everyone knows they have. For example, the surveillance tape from the shooting range at which Thomas Crooks trained because it would answer the question, was he training with somebody? And if so, who? They have that footage, they won't release it. What could possibly be the explanation for that? Kent, I know what the result is. The result is that people come to their own conclusions, and this is where the crazy conspiracy theories come from. And then those conspiracy theories are usually easy to debunk or make people saying them sound crazy, so then the actual question never gets answered. Tucker laughs in awe. Tucker, sorry, can you say that for people who haven't lived in Washington? I try to explain this to people all the time because this has been ongoing since at least the Kennedy assassination. But this is very serious and recurring thing. It's a tactic, and you just explained it better than anyone I've ever heard. Can you just do that again? can basically you give no information whatsoever on something that's obvious that there should be information. You unload there's potentially footage of crooks at the shooting range. Again, police 101, go get the tapes, let's figure it out. If you don't want to address this question, then you just go silent. You say you can't ask that question, which then creates people who come out of kind of nowhere. They start drawing their own conclusions. Knowing the way the internet works, half of them, if not more, are probably going to be so far off in the left field that then you can just be like, oh, these people are asking these questions about the tape at the video range, crazy conspiracy theories, and so you've just diverted all attention away from the thing that you're trying to conceal, and now everyone's focused on the crazies. Then the second somebody asks a legitimate question, they're crazy. Yeah, I guess makes sense. The USA has decided to completely classify the funeral ceremonies of American soldiers killed in the war with Iran for Israel and strictly prohibit filming. It is estimated the number of American military personnel is significantly higher than the officially announced numbers. Yeah, because last official number I've heard was 6, and that's like a few weeks ago. Like, so and people have been saying it's probably much higher than 6 dead Americans during that war already. Japan says it will buy oil from Russia using yuan through Strait of Hormuz, but not join America's war due to 82% of Japanese oppose Iran-US war. Sorry, my throat is still a bit itchy. US wanted Takaichi to sign a joint statement on Hormuz, but Japan refused publicly, officially, finally. Japanese says no ships, no troops, no war in Middle East. So I'm not quite sure what's Japan actually gonna do with the war stuff, because the prime minister supposedly is doing what America wants, but here it says so. I don't know who's the trustworthy source of information here. How's this? Hail Japan.
これはアメリカのいわゆる対日弱体化政策なんですよ。本来の日本の姿がなくなる。保守の連中、愛国者の連中は日本の再生、歴史伝統文化を守ると言ってる。
So he says something like the Japanese female is gonna disappear and have to defend like Japanese culture, something like that.
言ってるでしょ。じゃあやったことは何なの。日本の歴史伝統文化を破壊しているアメリカを賛同してるじゃねえかよ。
Something destroy.
アメリカを賛同してるじゃねえかよ。
I don't know what is sandoshita. I don't know what that means. So I'm not sure if this guy is anti-America or pro-America or what, but but I sort of like his way, like, you know, his it's very, you know, masculine energy. That's a good thing. All right, but let's move on to another topics finally from the war to Epstein shit. This is Epstein files and shit, you know, Epstein crap, whatever, you know. There's not much here this week, but let's see. A Chinese lawyer, Victor Gao, hints that China may now be in possession of the entire unredacted Epstein files. He indicates that now is the right moment to fully expose the details of Jeffrey Epstein's activities and everyone involved with it. I guess it's possible he's telling the truth. I'm very skeptical that they have them, or if they do have them, that they're, you know, gonna do anything else except just sit on the files. But that would be funny if China was to release them, and of course they would. People would claim that, you know, they're fake, that they're gonna, you know, trying to implicate innocent people in crimes that they are not guilty of. An Epstein file showed Trump was directly involved in human trafficking. Let's see.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to discuss this administration's massive cover-up of the Epstein files in order to conceal President Trump's involvement. This cover-up reached its apex last month when Attorney General Pam Bondi falsely testified under oath before the House Judiciary Committee. The Attorney General testified, quote, "There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that," unquote. This is a lie. In the 3 million or so documents that the DOJ has disclosed to Congress under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, there is credible evidence that Donald Trump committed a crime. And that, of course, excludes the nearly 3 million pages that the DOJ is refusing to turn over. Donald Trump is mentioned thousands of times in the Epstein files. There are multiple allegations that he sexually assaulted young girls. But I want to focus on one victim's allegations that the FBI unquestionably found to be credible. The DOJ tried to hide reports of 3 of the 4 interviews that this victim gave to the FBI, but pressure from the media and Congress forced them to disclose them. And now we know why. She credibly accuses Donald Trump of sexually assaulting her when she was between 13 and 15. In each of her interviews, this victim recited the same account of her interaction with Donald Trump. On August 7th, 2019, she explained that she was between 13 and 15 when she was left alone with Donald Trump, who, quote, mentioned something to the effect of, "Let me teach you how little girls are supposed to be." Trump unzipped his pants and put her head down, quote, down to his penis, bit the S out of it. Trump struck the victim and said words to the effect of, "Get this little B the hell out of here." The victim advised that she bit Trump's penis because he disgusted her. She provided some additional details in the next interview 2 weeks later, and then a month later, she met again with the...
Yeah, I think I've seen this information before. So yeah, it is. I don't know whether the allegations are true or not, but it's certainly something that should be explained. Like, let's say, like, the information is not true, then at least they should, the authorities should provide an explanation of like what's the truth about this stuff. But hey, also welcome Helix 5 or HTLIX 5. Welcome to the stream. And Epstein was heavily involved in European Union politics. So right now has the working class behind them on immigration. Macron collapsed tonight, Merkel dead, we win 60% of Euro Parliament next spring. Salvini calls election the following week. Done, done, and done. So this is 2018. So yeah, it says we win 60%. So I guess I don't know who are the participants here, except like Epstein himself. But I guess, yeah, they control the right, whatever is their definition of right here, or controlled at least. And this isn't really Epstein, this is weird stuff, so it's related. So did you know that the Hoover Dam has a time projection chamber particle detector inside of it? Ironically, many movies depict the Hoover Dam hiding interdimensional technology. The monument is also decorated with tons of occult symbolism, including statues of fallen angels. Yeah, I do remember seeing about like these statues, and I think there was like reference to Orion, like some small star map or something at Hoover Dam. So I don't know what it all means. And according to a document in the CERN server, the Hoover Dam holds the key to the fate of the universe. Publication 1988. Hoover Dam holds the key to the fate of the universe. So I don't know, is this like a poetic phrase or literal phrase or what does it actually mean, but yeah. But certainly I've heard some conspiracy theories about Hoover Dam before, but I don't really know what's going on there. Where are you from? I'm from Finland. Let's see, what's this? But I might sound a bit weird, like, you know, I was a bit sick last week. I feel fine now, but my throat is still a bit off at times and a bit raspy and stuff. But let's move on. So this is a comet. There's like several comets supposedly were witnessed recently around the world. Yeah, thanks. I feel fine. It's just, you know, if I speak a lot, my throat feels a bit itchy, but otherwise I feel quite fine. But thanks. Anyway, so 4 comets witnessed across 4 different continents. This is not normal. Yeah, so doesn't say here where those comets are from, and one of those fancy new meteors that changes direction. Because I think, you know, somebody said it's like a SpaceX launch, at least some comet or meteor that changed direction, so could be. And something came in over Canada. Over Calgary, Alberta, a fiery object was seen tearing through the sky, burning bright, dropping lower than most, and it held together possible satellite debris, but something about it stands out. Objects coming in hot, usually visible, lasting longer than expected. Now add this to everything else unfolding right now. This one didn't go unnoticed. And did anybody see this? So what is this? Okay, that's a bit weird. Well, is it like, you know, fireworks? But yeah, like I wonder, like, if it's all comets and meteors and stuff, what does it mean? Does it mean that it's, you know, spiritual signs from the heavens about, you know, great upheavals, or are they UFOs? Are aliens gonna attack, or are they fake alien UFOs, like, you know, about a fake alien invasion? And meteors have been seen in Turkey, Australia, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, and in other locations around the world over the past week. Some even appear to change direction. Yeah. Of course, like, you know, a lot of these are a bit like, you know, hearsay and stuff, so it could mean, you know, many different things, but it is interesting. This one, yes, this is out of Houston. 2 meteors is the same, in the same frame should be. Here it says the American Meteor Society has no report of fireballs over Houston on March 18 to 19, 2026. Airplane contrails can resemble meteors, especially during twilight. So let's say these might actually just be aeroplanes that the contrails make them look a bit weird. So let's say that's true. So like it might apply to some other of these meteors and comets and stuff, but then again maybe not. Just you know, try to keep an open mind, but not too open, and also not too you know, midwit Reddit mind who only believes in science, because it's BS2. Spectacular green fireball streaked across the Australian sky. Yeah, that looks a bit sus, but don't know what it means. And so this is a prophecy or conspiracy theory from 4chan from last year's June. Few months back, I leaked the World War III operational plan that was given to me straight from Mark, but since then our insiders saw my thread and told me that they have made some changes to what's coming. This is my World War III thread, okay? So basically, the MJ12 group is about to blow the dome of the rock and start World War III to interrupt it next year with a fake alien invasion, like I said months ago. These are all my threads before and after the secure trip code. I came first out in February on 4chan. So I haven't looked into all of that stuff, but don't know whether this, yeah, could be a blue beam trial. Exactly, like, whenever I see anything, that could be aliens, my first gut instinct is blue beam. Like, I just to use Occam's razor, like, the simplest explanation is most usually the correct one. And I think it's much simpler to have fake aliens than, like, whether it's going to be an alien invasion or, nice space brothers who don't suffer from original sin and can teach us many things. Like, I think it's a simple explanation if we were to encounter them that it's fake than actually, actual aliens. Or perhaps they're freaking demons from hell pretending to be space brothers or something. I think that's also more likely to happen than actual aliens, but like, well, we'll see whether something like that is going to happen, right? Yeah, let's keep logicking. But let's move on to like, so cancer might be parasitic. I already discussed this, like, that was last week or the week before that, and also some other sort of unorthodox scientific tabs I have open here. So Mel Gibson, I have 3 friends, all 3 of them had stage 4 cancer, and all 3 of them don't have cancer right now at all. Joe Rogan, what did it take? Ivermectin, fenbendazole. Mel Gibson nods in agreement. I don't know what is fenbendazole, but I guess it's antiparasitic. I don't know what is ivermectin, of course. And complete remissions of stage 4 cancers using antiparasitics are now being documented in the peer-reviewed literature. Hundreds of studies find ivermectin and fenbendazole exert over 12 distinct anti-cancer mechanisms across more than 12 cancer types. So let's assume for a moment fenbendazole is the dog version of the human mebendazole. Okay. Never heard of mebendazole either. But anyway, so let's assume that this is actually true, that these antiparasitic drugs work on cancer. Like, it's obvious that, that this has been deliberately kept from us by the pharmaceutical industry for whatever reason. One might, assume that because there is another conspiracy theory that has been going on for years, is that, the parasite sort of like the elites are sort of controlled by parasites. So yeah, the parasites don't want to be exposed, like, literal parasites. So you can get febendazole on Amazon. Mebendazole, you need RX prescription, but it's antiparasitic. Okay. Yeah, I don't know so much about drugs. I usually try to stay away from drugs of any kind. Okay, let's see what other stuff we have here. A paper from a researcher at the Universitat Autónoma de Barcelona is going viral across Spain right now. He's claiming Giza pyramids are 12,000 years old, built by a civilization that predates ancient Egypt. Water erosion on the Sphinx. Later pyramids get worse, not better. No royal mummies ever found inside. Precision impossible with copper tools. Astronomical alignments too advanced. So all of this stuff I've heard this years ago, and like from people like Graham Hancock and people like that. And it's, seems credible to me. Of course, it's still assumptions, like how do we know it's 12,000 years old? Maybe it's even older, or who knows what. But the mainstream is pushing back, but this story has been covered by 20 Minutos, La Razón, AS, Mundo Deportivo, El Tiempo, and more in just 3 days. The fact that this keeps resurfacing in papers, in headlines, in public conversation tells you something. The current answers aren't satisfying people anymore. Then the whole world keeps, when the whole world keeps asking the same question, maybe it's time to stop condemning us for asking it. So Catalan scientist says pyramids may predate ancient Egypt. Yeah. Another, like, I think, like, a really ancient, like, not, I don't know if it's ancient, but old theory on the pyramids that they were like grain elevators, like, not elevator going up and down, but like, to dry them, I guess. And because I just saw some random YouTube video on it like a couple of weeks ago, but it made me think of, I think in Civilization, like Sid Meier's Civilization 2, maybe 1 as well. I believe they were built by Nephilim, says Helix. That's possible, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna say yes or no to that. It's except possible, but yeah. So anyway, in Civilization 1 or 2, I think the if you built the pyramids, you got a free granary in all your cities. So I think that's like, it's an old theory that even the people who made Civilization knew about it. So whether that's true or not, like the theory, I don't know. And a 2,000-year-old artifact may be evidence that Romans found New World 1,000 years before Columbus. But I think, I heard about like some like a plate or something with Roman writing, like Latin writing, supposedly found in South America or something years ago. Like I think it was on Red Eyes Creations more than like 15 years ago or something when I saw some program about that. So I've heard about this sort of stuff, and also I remember hearing some claim that there are also some artifact, like Egyptian artifacts were supposedly discovered in, maybe was it Texas or something? Like don't know whether it's bullshit or whether it's true and just being suppressed and stuff because it doesn't suit the narrative. But yeah, I think there's a lot of our history that we don't know, and some people who don't want us to know. And 285 years ago, in 1741, cannabis hemp slash hemp was so common that the leading gardening expert literally said, "Everyone knows how to grow it, no need to explain." That contrasts sharply with today's debates and restrictions. Funny how times change when you can patent intelligent design. So yeah, and so it was so common that they were using it, but I don't think many people were smoking it. They were just using it for clothing and ropes and who knows what. But yeah, it's a bit BS if it's not allowed. All the copper from over there comes from Upper Peninsula of Michigan. You mean in like Texas or stuff? That was this. We still have this. Yeah, so 1990, lots of bugs on windscreen, and 2020, no bugs on windscreen. I'm sure many of you have noticed this. Middle East ancient times, okay? You mean the Middle Eastern copper comes from Michigan? Okay, a Danish scientist counted bugs on the same windshield, same road, same conditions every year for 20 years. Every year for 20 years. By year 20, 80% of the insects were gone. In Germany, a group of volunteer bug scientists did something even bigger. They set traps in 63 nature reserves, not farms, protected land, and weighed everything they caught. Same trap, same method, 27 years straight. The total weight of flying bugs dropped 76%. In midsummer, when the insects should be peaking, it was 82% gone. A follow-up in 2020, 2021, checked again, no recovery. In the UK, they literally asked drivers to count splats on their license plates after a trip. The 2024 count came back 63% lower than just in 2021. 3 years. A 2020 study pulled together 166 surveys from 1,676 locations around the world. Land insects are disappearing at roughly 9% every 10 years. Here's where it hits your plate. About 75% of the food crops we grow depend on insects to pollinate them, everything from apples to almonds to coffee. One 2025 study modeled what a full pollinator collapse would look like. Food prices 30%, global economy takes $729 billion hit, and the world loses 8% of its vitamin A supply. Birds are already feeling it. North America has lost 2.9 million birds since 1970. A study from just weeks ago found half of 261 bird species on the continent are in serious decline, and losses are speeding up in farming regions. Birds that eat insects lost 2.9 billion. Birds that don't eat insects, they gained 26 million. The ratio tells the whole story. One of the German researchers behind 27-year study drives a Land Rover. He says it has aerodynamics of a refrigerator. It stays clean now. So what's still the conversation here? If you believe in the great flood of Noah, it has been said that the flood waters covered everything, the whole earth, and carried things all over the world. Just a possible theory. Well, yeah, I guess it's a possibility. I do think there was a big flood like that. It's been in various different cultures, not just the Bible, of course, but yeah, I do think something like that happened. But it sounds a bit too convenient just to say, that would be the reason. And especially there are other evidence to suggest that, there have been like greater contact between civilizations, like pyramids and ziggurats and stuff are found pretty much on every continent in the world. That probably suggests there was some sort of interconnectivity in the ancient world. But anyway, let's get back to the bug stuff. So bugs are disappearing, and of course, on one level, it's one instinct of me says that's a good thing because I don't like bugs, but then again, yeah, they many of the bugs serve a purpose on Earth, which is not good. So this is clearly like this is malicious. Whether it's like the disappearance of the bugs is accidental, like let's say it's a byproduct of, I don't know, Wi-Fi or some chemicals we use or something like that. But the fact that it's being sort of kept quiet, like surely there are some like bigger people who have noticed this as well, but they're not really like all the, because everybody's supposedly so environmentally conscious nowadays, but still they're not conscious of these things. I think that's malice, or it could be deliberate to destroy food supply, or who knows what, or freaking aliens who hate all life on Earth and want to destroy all of Earth. That's one theory. Or maybe it's some sort of like cataclysm that happens every 10,000 years, and like the magnetic field of the Earth is changing, and that's causing bugs to disappear. That's also malicious in that sense, because I'm pretty sure that some of the elites know about it if such an event is happening. So that's my direction, how I would go about like looking at this thing. But all right, let's move on to UK and the Jewish ambulances and some other news. First, some other news about UK, but then there's the Jewish ambulances. So Ofcom has fined 4chan again because they don't like 4chan. £520,000 under UK's Online Safety Act. 4chan responded to them in an email with a giant hamster. Yeah. Possibly combination of 5G, chemtrails, GMO grain, pesticides, yeah, with their bugs. That's like I think that's a very like a safe option and yeah, I'm sure all of those are responsible, but it's possible there's even like a bigger thing going on that I don't know about, but yeah. Anyways, let's see what else do we have here. We are a mentally ill country, UK. The UK House of Lords has just legalized abortion up to birth. Women can now end the life of their unborn baby at any stage for any reason without legal consequences. Truly dark day for Britain. I think that's they will say it's overpopulation. Yeah. Um, but so yeah, I think politicians should be also be able to be aborted, regardless of their status of birth or age or anything. I think that would be a good direction to go to. And Essex police pauses use of live facial recognition cameras due to racial bias concerns. So install facial recognition cameras to catch those evil white incel criminals. Remove them cause the criminals on tape are all black. UK is so funny. Hey, I don't think it's just black. I think it's also Asian, quote unquote. And London, England. A group calling itself the ULEZ Blade Runners has vowed to remove or disable every last ULEZ camera in London. So I don't know what is a ULEZ camera, but obviously there's some sort of surveillance camera. So that sounds like a good thing that they are doing the God's work, of course. Okay. So anyone reading about the arson attack in London that might be surprised to learn that the Jewish community have their own H1tler ambulances. They also have their own police force called the Shomrim. Did you know the Jews run parallel emergency services for their own people in Britain? Um, yeah, so there was some sort of attack on some, I don't know, synagogue or something. I don't really know about the details, don't care because, well, let's see the next one. Yeah, good on them. So the false flag attack on the Jewish ambulances in Golders Green, London, has backfired massively. Also, is the attack was on the ambulances themselves, because now people are asking why Jews in London have separate ambulances, and I think that's a very, very good question. And once they start digging, they'll find out they have special police vehicles too. Dear, oh dear. Yeah, why? Why are they allowed to do that? I thought equality and all that. Why do they have privileges? Um, so multiple H1tler ambulances used by Jewish communities are burning in London Golders Green right now. Okay, so many ambulances were burned. So why do Jews have special ambulances just for them? Yeah. Yeah, Jews have their own hospitals, their own schools, even their entire neighborhoods in the United States. Yeah, I saw like I forgot his name right now, but like yeah, the guy who made the video of going into was it in Jersey, some Jewish community, and sort of that they just there's families that have like 13 children, but the people don't have to do really work. They just pray at the synagogue all day, and basically the taxpayer takes care of their children. US is infested with Jews, unfortunately. Some might say is the same about this world, but I don't want to go too far in that direction. I get in trouble. Iranian passport found at burn site of Jewish ambulances in the UK. A copy of the Mein Kampf was also recovered intact in the burned down vehicle. Surely this is a parody, right? Yeah, I refuse to believe that this is true, that they actually found this, because this sounds almost like a 9/11 parody. Children and teenagers. Well, this is now we go to Germany. Children and teenagers chanted the far-right slogan, "Foreigners out, Germany for the Germans." So, Ausländer raus. A teen disco with participants as young as 11, underlining the extent to which political extremism has become normalized. Now it's more like political common sense has become normalized. So, maybe Germany is going in the right direction, but they have to look beyond the AFP then. Euro speech laws. Actually, I live in Hong Kong, so I don't know if they mind if I shit on Europe or anything, but still, I don't wanna. Well, there's still online platforms, but might ban me if I say stuff. I'm also like on Twitch and stuff, and if I get banned on Twitch, then it's whatever. But I guess I don't want to make it too easy for them to do so. So anyway, they're all on welfare, of course, the Jews in those communities. So basically, stealing from the taxpayers, and yeah, things I cannot say. Oops. Yeah, I was just quoting my chat. Uh, okay. I guess now we can go to new section. Israel delendized. Israel has to be destroyed for the sanity and the stability of the world. While that political entity exists, we cannot have any sanity in the world or stability. So, supposedly, the Antichrist was announced this Thursday. Israeli Rabbi Baruch Rosenblum says Jews are expecting the announcement of the Jewish Messiah, the Antichrist, this Thursday, and will be blasted over the radio. He says he has called Trump to tell him to finish off Israel's enemies by this Thursday. This rabbi claims that their Messiah will be announced on the first day of Nisan, in Nisan, like the Japanese car, on the Hebrew calendar, that the site of the Strait of Hormuz is where the final war will take place. The reason the Messiah will come this Thursday is apparently to remove the head of Amalek, Iran. Everything about Iran war has been led by the Jewish religious extremists, as they are openly trying to fulfill a biblical prophecy. The prophecy brings about the destruction of the West and most of the world. So I haven't heard who this Messiah is that was supposedly publicized almost a week ago, but I did see many different accounts on Twitter talk about this. But yeah, after, like, that was before the Thursday, but then on Thursday I didn't really hear anybody saying anything. Yeah, many say Kushner or MBS. Who's MBS? But Kushner, like, the thing about the Antichrist, like if you look at the Bible, the Antichrist is supposed to be a very popular person, and I don't think Kushner is, because I think Kushner, most people are very lukewarm on Kushner. Like, I guess a lot of people don't really like it, but I haven't seen people even, like, truly hating him. Mohammed bin Solomon. Who's that? Uh, but yeah, I don't know. Like, and of course, it is like it's a prophecy. Like, maybe it's just BS, or maybe it has happened like 1,000 years ago. A prince of Saudi. Okay, yeah, Mohammed bin Solomon. Okay. So yeah, it's possible it has happened, or it will happen like 1,000 years from now or something, or 10,000. Who really knows? But assuming it's gonna happen soon, like, because I think the Messiah or the Antichrist, if it's a real person, is gonna happen. Let's say within the next 50 years, it's gonna be somebody that most people in the world will like. whether it's just your random normies, regardless of their culture, but also maybe more like conspiratorial people, or like people who have more discrimination, let's say, in political affairs and stuff. Like maybe they still like uh, so yeah, I don't really know who it would be. Argentina exposes Israel's takeover plan and the government is in on it. Emmanuel Adorni, Argentine presidential spokesman, just blew the lead on the secret Israeli operation. Israelis are starting the huge fires in Argentina to exploit a loophole recently placed by the Zionist government in the Argentinian law. Protected rural and conserved land can now be sold to foreign private entities once a fire passes through it. This means the pristine wild treasures of the Patagonia lose their legal protection and can be sold to Zionists. This is pure evil. Yeah, I've commented on this stuff before. And Helix says that I think Jews are trying to self-fulfill their own prophecy. A lot of this, they are working with a Judeo-Christian cultist to fake the end time prophecy. I personally believe that the Antichrist will not be revealed until the bride of Christ is off the earth. But then again, I am of the belief that there will be a pre-tribulation rapture. Okay. Now I'm an agnostic, so I'm not. I don't believe or disbelieve the Bible. I do think that the Bible holds um, lots of wisdom and information that is relevant, but I don't believe that is necessarily true. It's possible it's going to be wrong, but even if it's true, it's very possible that we have like a wrong conception of the timeline and all that stuff. But yeah, I do think that you are onto something with they're trying to fulfill their own prophecy. There's certainly evidence of that. But anyway, OnlyFans founder Leonid Radvinsky dies of cancer at the age of 43. Except that, correction, he's not the founder. He acquired majority stake in OnlyFans 2 years after the company was founded, accelerating the adult content. So I guess he's still I guess the main engine behind OnlyFans, even though he didn't found it. But anyway, so yeah, this is a really sad day for the whole world. Like we lost a great man, surely. And this is funny. The French are choosing between Hitler with 2 T's and Zelensky in the municipal elections in the small French town of Arcy-sur-Aube. 2 candidates faced off: Charles Hitler and Antoine Zelensky. Both politicians were surprised by the viral reaction to their surnames, which evoked associations with Adolf Hitler and Volodymyr Zelensky. Charles Hitler does not hide that he has grown accustomed to the mockery related to his last name. I get my surname is to show that not everyone with such a name is an idiot. It all depends on how you use it, said the politician. Okay, and Helix says, just as a caveat, everything I say is my own personal belief. I'm not here to try and convince everyone against their own beliefs. Yeah, yes. I got that. I got that. I didn't feel like you were trying to force it or anything. Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's good that people discuss and they're not like afraid to like say their own views on matters, like even if you are pretty sure that people will disagree, because if you don't do that, then there's no discussion at all and we won't really learn anything, because it's too easy nowadays on the internet. Like people just start fighting, like, oh, you disagree with me on this issue, like even though 90% of politically we might agree, but we disagree on this couple of issues and now we have to fight to the death or something. Yeah, convert or die. Exactly. Anyway, in the first round of elections in the French commune Arcis-sur-Aube, candidate Charles Hitler received more votes than his opponents, including Antoine Zelensky. Yeah, Hitler is making a comeback in France. Anyway, French judge Nicolas Gouillou, who issued an arrest warrant for Netanyahu at the ICC, so the International Criminal Court. Visa and MasterCard have blocked all my cards. So wait. So are you telling me that Israel controls Visa and MasterCard? Shocked Pikachu face. So he cannot make purchases. I'm a judge, yet treated like criminal. Judges, lawyers, and politicians are being intimidated. A colleague told me my name won't be removed from the blacklist until Trump's term ends. Despite intervention by the French president, US authorities have not responded. So why don't Europeans make their own payment processing if Visa and MasterCard are American or something? Because apparently they are. Trump can just blacklist him. This is ridiculous if this is true. But this guy is saying. Wisconsin Sheriff Michael J. Bouchard confirmed that the man was arrested after distributing an offensive internet meme
I give you this by way of
depicting him with a Jewish star on his forehead, calling it anti-Semitic. The sheriff said the man was trying to threaten and intimidate him by posting the meme. He said the First Amendment makes people feel empowered, emboldened, and safe, so he had to teach the public a lesson. Yeah, I thought, America had freedom of expression and freedom of speech, but not if it makes certain kinds of people feel uncomfortable. So then it doesn't matter. Jewish pedophile Zev Zebriansky, who pleaded guilty to raping a 10-year-old boy, walks free from Australian court with no jail time. So I don't know what's the why there's no jail time. Can't really, and because I can't ask Grok anymore because I'm not a pay pig. But yeah, whatever. Let's see what we have next. Joe Kent, former director of Counterterrorism Center, just said Israel is behind Charlie Kirk's assassination.
And then Charlie Kirk is killed publicly.
We are ruled
in a
by the
very
nose
horrific
try.
way,
Yeah,
and we're not really
over
allowed to look
nose.
into that at all. And Charlie Kirk was one of President Trump's closest advisors, and he also advocated heavily against a war with Iran. He was in the Oval Office in the lead up to the 12-day war. I wasn't particularly close with Charlie. He was very gracious to me when I was running for Congress, very, very supportive. So we knew each other. And the last time I saw Charlie Kirk on this earth was in June in the West Wing, in the stairway. And I said hi to him, and he looked me in the eye, and he said very loudly, and it's a small, you've been in the West Wing, it's small, it's a tight space. And he said, Joe, stop us from getting into a war with Iran. Very loudly.
He was single-minded.
And he walked off, and he went, I believe, into the Oval. So when one of President Trump's closest advisors, who is vocally advocating for us to not go to war with Iran and for us to rethink at least our relationship with the Israelis, and then he's suddenly publicly assassinated, and we're not allowed to ask any questions about that, it's a data point. It's a data point that we need to look into.
What do you mean when you say we're not allowed to ask any questions about that?
We've been told that this individual, Robinson, is a lone gunman, and maybe he is. But the investigation that I was a part of, the National Counterterrorism Center was a part of, we were stopped from continuing to investigate. And the FBI will say that they stopped that because they wanted to turn everything over to the Utah state authorities. Everything's going to trial. It's very, very sensitive. But there was still a lot for us to look into that I can't really get into. But there was still linkage for us to investigate that we needed to run down. And I'm not making any conclusions. I'm not saying
no, I don't think you are.
Because of this happened. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there's unanswered questions. We know the pressure because of the text message.
So I don't think this isn't what he exactly said. He didn't say that Israel is behind Charlie Kirk's assassination, but he sort of did hint that way. But Hellcat said, we do not have freedom of speech. If you contact your politician 3 times angrily without threats, they can incarcerate you. Cops called me the other day for calling a congressman a traitor. That sounds, yeah, like the because that's the should be the essence of democracy and stuff, that you can do that. You can call out your politicians and stuff. Let's reload some of these. The FBI is investigating now resigned director of National Counterterrorism Center Joe Kent for leaking classified information. So this comes from Jackson Hinkle, so he's not the most reliable source, but if this is true, it sort of suggests something. And Bishop Strickland, faithful Catholics are being labeled as anti-Semitic simply for refusing to adopt Christian Zionism. I wonder why. And then there's this this isn't so Israel related, but nearly 900-year-old Catholic monastery in Romania faces forced eviction by city authorities. A centuries-old Catholic monastery community in Romania is facing what legal experts describe as an unprecedented attempt to dismantle consecrated religious life through civil eviction proceedings, despite long-standing recognition by the Romanian state and church. I think the interesting part was it doesn't mention, but I think this is like Freemasons are like want to acquire the land or something, so that's the reason why it wasn't this article, but it's like it doesn't mention it. I mean, Mason. Oh, okay, but yeah, I think like I heard it somewhere else. That it's actually Masons sort of behind the whole thing. I'm not gonna read all that stuff, but let's see. All right, but let's move away from Israel, hopefully permanently, to gaming and entertainment news, and also AI and IT crap. So let's see. Moderators of the r/Linux subreddit are now censoring posts which talk about age verification. Not only are posts being removed, but I've heard from multiple Reddit users who have been banned from r/Linux for expressing opposition to age verification. So systemd has merged age verification measures into UserDB. So because there's some American state wants to force all computers to have like the age verification on the computer level, including Linux, and now they're infiltrating Linux already, even though I don't think the law is even gone through, but it's clearly like a concerted effort from various agencies and stuff and different countries doing it. The main program that starts and manages almost everything. Oh, come on. Manages almost everything on modern Linux computer systemd recently added an optional birth date field to its database records. This stores a user's full birth date so apps can check age, for example, to comply with new age verification laws in places like California, Colorado, and Brazil. It's not automatic age checking. Systemd only saves the date. Only admins can set or change it, but the user and some sandbox apps can read it. Yeah, that's how it started. Like, it's not compulsory, but like, you have the option, and 2 weeks later, like, yeah, you're a terrorist and you will be shot if you don't do it. That's how it always goes. Meta spent a record of $26.3 million lobbying in 2025 and quietly funded a group called the Digital Childhood Alliance to push age verification laws. The real target appears to be the App Store Accountability Act and similar bills. These laws would require Apple and Google to verify ages before anyone can download any app from their stores. That means every game, banking app, fitness tracker, and productivity tool would face new checks and costs. Social media apps from Meta would be exempt. The result is a huge compliance burden shifted onto app stores while Meta avoids the same rules. Public records show heavy lobbying, fast created advocacy groups, and funding ties that raise questions about who is really behind the child safety push. Full open source investigation with 47 documented findings from lobbying disclosures, tax filings, hearing transcripts, and more is now available. What's this? Very complicated stuff. So yeah, it's it's Meta, a big corporation who is again for this, and many governments in different countries. Is a global agenda, and it's not even a conspiracy because it's so open. And Nikita just said the quiet part out loud and admitted to throttling on Twitter. So Wall Street Ape said, I gotta be honest, I have no motivation to post on X right now. The algorithm is so horrible, there is absolutely no point. Literally everything gets throttled. I was literally getting 2 to 3 times more reach with 1 million less followers. Whoever changed the algo destroyed the app. And Nikita Beer, who is of a certain ethnicity and like the, whatever, the practical head of Twitter nowadays, for the engineering stuff or whatever. In the last 48 hours, you got 12.3 million impressions. You also posted 118 times. That's quite a lot. There are other posters that we sometimes need to give visibility to. So it implies, well, it doesn't mean that Wall Street Apes was necessarily throttled, but others were promoted. And for me, like, even though, like, my Twitter is definitely throttled, even though maybe not directly, but it doesn't get the same boost at some other platforms. I've had, Stolen Hellcat says, I've had speech held against me as evidence in court that wasn't even incriminating. Like, what the fuck? Like, especially in America, I know, yeah, mean speak, that shouldn't be a thing. Like, I know that much about American legislation that freedom of speech is one of the pillars and all that stuff, unlike in most other countries in the world. What do we have here? Okay, so the first criminal case of streaming fraud where a North Carolina musician who used AI to make songs then streamed them billions of times, himself making $8 million. Do you understand what this man just pulled off? A guy from North Carolina used AI to generate hundreds of thousands of songs, uploaded them to Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, then bottled millions of streams on his own tracks and walked away with 8 million. 660,000 fake streams per day spread across thousands of AI songs so nobody noticed. 1.2 million a year for music no human ever actually listened to. Yeah, so where's the victim then? Real artists are out there grinding for 0.003 cents per stream, promoting on TikTok, begging for playlist placements, and this guy just had AI make the music and the audience. First ever criminal streaming fraud case, he's paying back $8 million, but the playbook is out there now, and AI just got better since he started. The music industry spent 10 years fighting piracy, now we have to fight songs. This is like, is this guy actually defending the music industry? And now we have to fight songs that don't exist being listened to by people. It's like, what's this guy's actual crime? Like, if nobody actually listened to the music, who the fuck cares if the corporations are too dumb to like be promoting his music, and like, how does he get paid for it? Like, the whole economic model is completely retarded, and it shouldn't be this guy's fault. It's the system itself that is at fault, and not one guy for exploiting it. Just, I don't know, brings my piss to a boil, as they say. And this, unrelated, because I don't think that guy should be punished this way, but this is, still Singapore just dropped a warning for scammers. Not just fines, not just jail. They're just considering mandatory caning. Under the proposal, convicted scammers could face prison time, heavy fines, and at least 6 strokes of the cane. Why now? Scam cases are exploding, billions lost, lives impacted. Officials say the message is clear: no more soft consequences. Some call it necessary, others say it's too extreme. Would this stop scammers or go too far? Well, I think that sounds good, like for actual scammers, like, people who scam their last savings from, like, from old grandmas and stuff. Like, yeah, that sort of people should definitely be caned or punished even more harshly. But, like, the previous guy with the AI, I don't think this, like, where's the victim of the crime? I don't think a corporation should be able to be a victim. They're not people. Right, and then there's Afroman trial. So I think Afroman, isn't he the guy who had the song like, I was gonna do this or that, then I got high, then I got high. That's all I know about Afroman, if this is the same guy. Cops raid Afroman's house for bullshit reasons, steal money, break his door, or fuck his house up. No criminality found whatsoever, no charges at all pressed on Afroman. Afroman spends the next 3 years making songs that make fun of all the officers involved by name, even using footage of the raid for his own CCTV cameras. Songs had titles like Randy Walters is a son of a bitch and Lick 'em Love Lisa, accusing one of the officers of being a lesbian and sleeping with the other officers' wives. During the raid, one officer looked like he was about to eat some lemon pound cake sitting on Afroman's counter. Afroman made a whole album calling the officer fat. This guy is quite creative. Yeah, that's his one song claim to fame. Yeah, but maybe he should be more famous. I haven't heard his music, but I like the way he's acting here. The cops get mad, file a lawsuit for defamation. Afroman turns up to court in a whole American flag suit. Officers performatively mauled and cry while listening to the songs, really trying to oversell how badly songs upset them. One officer was suing because Afroman made a whole song about him saying he was fucking the officer's wife. When the officer was asked if Afroman was really fucking his wife, he said, I don't know. What? So does it mean that he is actually fucking his wife? Nuking his own case and establishing that there is a non-zero chance that Afroman might actually be fucking. I know it's the Afroman fucking his wife. Okay, Afroman might actually be fucking his wife. As his only witness for the trial, Afroman brought deputy's ex-fucking wife. The jury ruled completely in favor of Afroman. The entire thing has been a great win for free speech and absolutely fucking hilarious. Yeah, sounds fun. Okay, then we have the a new anime about everybody's favorite Austrian painter, because it's originally manga, the Petals of Reincarnation, except that he's been nerfed to a high hell. So Adolf Hitler's swastika has been censored in new anime Petals of Reincarnation. Some fans are upset and are calling for creators to uncensor it. It will not make sense to have a reincarnated Hitler without the infamous symbol. Yeah. So just look at how ugly this is. Like, they took away the cross of friendship, but also, like, what's with the green hairs? It just looks atrocious. I think that's deliberate because Mustache Man bad, so I have to make fun of him or something. But it's like, and I can understand, like, these symbols are illegal in Germany or something, but then just have a different version in Germany or something. So, in other places should be able to use them, because it's the guy who made the symbol famous or infamous or however you wanna put it. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, why make this anime if you're gonna censor it? It just baffles and annoys and angers me. Like, why bother if you're not doing it properly? But I think it's some sort of humiliation ritual or something, sort of like destroying the noses from statues. Glad to have another Hitler enjoyer here. I'm not saying I'm just saying that I want the artistic integrity of the artist maintained, and also of the historical character, even though I think it's a girl, this character, not a guy. So yeah, are we for fucking real here, censoring the swastika in the lolly Hitler anime? I can't comprehend the purpose of this. It's an anime about lolly Nazi Hitler, and they are censoring swastikas. This one is actually frying my brain. I won't be recovering from this. Yeah, like what's the point? If you're gonna have the character, why? Why even adapt something when with Hitler in it if you're going to censor the fuck out of it? Yeah. Yeah, the other guy, exactly. And so actually this is cultural appropriation of German people, so I went ahead and fixed it. You're welcome. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that the blonde hair is that good either. I think maybe the white hair looks better, just like in the manga. Like I don't know how it's supposed to be because manga is black and white, but and here is a spinning eye. This is sort of funny. But yeah, I almost like the white hair more. Sami people all look the same. I haven't met many personally, so can't really say. I think I had this tab twice. So manga and anime. It's just I don't know. It just looks much uglier in the anime. And what is this symbol? It looks like some weird kanji. Uh, all right, a few more tabs left. Okay, Goro Taniguchi, director of Code Geass, says anime is done for. Over the last few years, adaptations have understandably become the norm because they're easier to secure a profit on, he says. But I believe that if left with nothing but adaptations, Japanese animation will be done for. Highlighting the lack of anime originals will be the doom of anime. So I guess adaptations, he means, adaptations from manga and stuff, so no original anime. So does it mean that Code Geass was originally anime and didn't have manga? I've seen the anime and I liked it, but it's like, or does he mean like adaptations of older stuff, like remakes, because those are also starting to become a thing, which I don't appreciate usually. An activist group buys 8% of Kadogawa to force changes for shareholders. It's a hedge fund from China, from Hong Kong-based international hedge fund management firm has acquired a large number of shares in major Japanese anime, manga, and game publisher Kadogawa. Yeah, so I wonder what they're gonna ask. So this is the face of the Chinese hedge fund Oasis Management that just brought 86% of Kadogawa as a Japanese company for anime, manga, and games. So let's explain why this is important news. Kadogawa expressed in 2024 they were fearful of a hostile company takeover by a foreign country, which is why they urged Sony to make a deal with them to buy 10% of their shares. This meant Sony would be the biggest shareholder of the company from that point onward. However, there were fears with the direction Sony has been going, it would lead to censorship and Crunchyroll gaining more of a monopoly on anime in the West. The decision, however, was the lesser of two evils. Now, almost 2 years later, we have a foreign country starting to buy Kadogawa stocks and quickly rivaling the shareholders' power of Sony. This company, Oasis, is a hedge fund seeking to use shareholder activism to force a company to change directions if they want. Shareholder activism can take any of several forms: proxy battles, publicity campaigns, shareholder resolutions, litigation, and negotiations with management. That results in focusing of the investors. We all have seen what investors have done to the gaming industry over the last decade. I don't think I need to explain why this is a scary situation. Now we need to talk about the face of Oasis and their connections with foreign countries, the very fear Kadokawa had. Seth Fisher was apparently served in the Israel Defense Forces. Surprise! He's a co-founder of the Oman Fisher Center for Law, Economics and Public Policy at Hebrew University, opened in 2022. Oasis has privately and publicly engaged with hundreds of Japanese companies on how they can improve their operations and corporate governance, including successful campaigns in Fujitec, Panahome, Tokyo Dome, Nintendo, and more. So are they the reason why Nintendo has been really atrocious the last few years? On top of that, he's vice chairman of the Ohelia Synagogue Management Committee in Hong Kong. Maybe I should find out where that synagogue is. So in conclusion, it is likely Kadokawa will start to replicate some of the signs that the gaming industry had over the last decade. However, we just have to wait and see if that happens. Yeah, damn Chinese screwing with the anime. These Chinese with their Chinese synagogues. And what is hentai? New York Post here saying the niche porn that the world can't stop watching. And this guy here says, download your fabs right now. The clock is ticking. Yeah, so they're, I guess, normifying even hentai in a few years. Hey, maybe nobody will be cooming in a few years because it's too mainstream. Okay. Yeah, I remember. Firearms Factory announced is an upcoming World War II strategy game. You manage a former candy factory repurposed into a German weapons production facility starting in 1939. Sounds like an interesting idea. I might have a look once it comes out. Like, unfortunately, I think they also have censored, the symbol. But I don't know, does, there's a game like Sex with Hitler on Steam. Does it have the symbol or not? I think that's the important part. Unfortunately, I haven't played it. Todd Howard confirmed the Elder Scrolls 6 is now Bethesda's top priority after wrapping up work on Starfield. The majority of the studio is now working on it 8 years after it was first revealed. Yeah, I want to try that game. Yeah, me too. So I was fucking right. This guy says, Comrade Dell. They were not even working on it the whole fucking time. What the fuck is wrong with this clown car of studio? So yeah, they announced Elder Scrolls 6 8 years ago, and they haven't even started on it. And Skyrim came out 15 years ago. Yeah, 2011. That's fucking 15 years ago. Like, I can't understand. Like, I can understand that gaming companies, they have a hot IP like Elder Scrolls that has lots of fans, that they would push out some sort of, shovelware garbage every couple of years because people will buy the slop no matter what. But I don't understand the opposite. Like, why won't they just work on it? Because I don't think Elder Scrolls games are, masterpieces that they really want, that they're so perfectionistic or anything. That's not the case either. I'm still waiting for Half-Life 3. Yeah. Don't hold your breath. Pearl Abyss shares dropped nearly 33% today after Crimson Desert received reviews below high expectations investors had built up over its long development. So, Crimson Desert, the new game that everybody is talking about. I guess it has mixed feelings. My feeling is that it has de nouveau, so I won't be supporting it. And $70 is too much, regardless. Like, it's probably a decent game outside of that, but those two factors are don't really appreciate it. But yeah, it shouldn't really. They shouldn't really care about the reviews. See, maybe the Steam reviews, but no other reviews. They shouldn't care. Okay, no, this is not the same. It's like they had the same image and the same position, but okay. Former Blizzard president Mike Ibarra, now CEO of a gambling site, tells Crimson Desert devs not to apologize for using AI. Oh yeah, there was this controversy that there were some paintings that were obviously AI slop with horses with weird legs, and then it's said, oh sorry, this this was just a placeholder. We forgot to change them, but that's probably BS because usually they should use something more obvious as placeholders. But I don't really care about that much. So anyway, Ibarra said, I don't get why devs feel the need to bend over for the few folks who can't accept the reality that AI will be in everything from video games to your fridge. It already is. See, I don't think that it's inherently bad that AI is in games. Like, most likely it will make games suck even more. But in theory, it could work the other way around. But I don't fucking want AI in my fridge ever. Like, unless I'm on like space station or something, or But no, I don't think a fridge should have AI. Or there's many things that should never have AI, and that's something that we should fight a Butlerian jihad over. But it's not the AI's fault that it's in their fridge. It's the people who put it there. They're the problem. And somebody gave Crimson Desert a 0 out of 10 on Metacritic because it has no LGBT representation. It is disappointing in 2026. This isn't about politics. It's about feeling invited to play and included in the world that the game is trying to build. What? Okay. For a modern large-scale RPG like this feels outdated. Okay, retard. There's nothing even I can respond, but this is like, I think this is the level of discourse when it comes to gaming nowadays. One side saying that it's 0 out of 10 because there's no gays, and the other side says it's 10 out of 10 because there are no gays. Like, gameplay, story, the other stuff don't matter as much as long as it, suits the political side you are leaning, or de novo. Maybe India can research AI toilets. Oh, that's a winning strategy right there. Okay, let's reload the last few tabs. RPG Paper Maker 3.0 is available on Steam. Try it now. Its software will allow you to create 3D RPGs and is free for non-commercial use. So it looks interesting. I'm gonna take a look at it if and when I have the time. But I sort of want to see how it looks like. If it feels like you can actually make interesting games without knowing how to program and stuff, especially if it's free. And also the game engine I'm cooking ramen is finally coming together. Anyone down to test it? I'm dropping the first version next week, and it's gonna include video to sprite sheet generator, AI video compatible, spatial detection for 2D backgrounds for custom lights and shadows, node-based game logic, totally no code, tons of other stuff focused on making a 100% playable 2D adventure in just a couple of days. This is just the tip of the iceberg, so stay tuned for more details. But if you're interested in testing it, just let me know in the comments. Thanks. So if it's like, this looks like a point-and-click adventure game, so definitely if it's also something that you don't really have to know how to program and you can make games, I really like to have a look at it. And here, indie game devs are about to love me or hate me for this. I built an AI workflow app included that spits out sprite sheets in minutes from assets created on FreePic, breaking down below. See, it's, I think this sort of stuff could, at least in theory, are the good side of AI, because I don't know how to draw, I don't know how to program, but I would like to. I have ideas for games and had them for years. So if something like this would allow me to try make something, maybe I would suck in the end, but like somebody else like me might create a masterpiece or something. So somebody just built an AI sprite sheet generator for 2D game characters, and it's actually impressive. It's called Sprite Sheet Generator. It's not just an image generator, it's full pipeline text prompt to animated game-ready character with walk cycles, jump animations, attack sequences, and a live sandbox to test everything before you export. Here's what this thing does. Generate a art character from any text description. Auto generates 6 frame walk cycle sprite sheet. Auto generates 4 frame jump animation and 4 frame attack animation. AI pixel style removes backgrounds automatically for clean transparent sprites. Adjustable grid dividers for precise frame cropping. Preview animations at adjustable FPS before exporting. Drop your character in parallax side-scroller sandbox to test it live. Here's the wildest part. Indie game devs spend hours commissioning sprite sheets and hand pixeling walk cycles frame by frame. This does it in a text prompt. Type a character description, get a game-ready animated sprite sheet with walk, jump, and attack ready to drop into Unity, Godot, or whatever engine you're using. Built with full AI, Next.js, runs locally in minutes. Open source. Yeah, I think this sounds good, but hey, I don't know a great deal about that stuff. And a new upcoming open world Lord of the Rings games is said to have $100 million budget and is aiming for GTA 5 level success. Yeah, it sounds horrible. Like in another universe, this might be really I might be excited, but like in this world, like no, it's gonna be mediocre at best. Like no, I think it's gonna be disrespectful to Tolkien, and it's gonna be the gameplay will be slop, sort of copied from Ubisoft or whatever. And then Umberto Eco, who owned 50,000 books, had this to say about home libraries. Of course, he's writer who wrote Name of the Rose and Foucault's Pendulum and some other books, but those are the most famous ones, I think. Anyway, it's foolish to think that those who have read all the books you buy, as it is foolish to criticize those who buy more books than they will ever be able to read. It would be like saying that you should use all the cutlery or glasses or screwdrivers or drill bits you bought before buying new ones. There are things in life that we need always to have plenty of supplies, even if we only use a small portion. Yes, this is very, on a side note, like this is also very anti own nothing and be happy philosophy. Like, yeah, you should have some excess in some things, and doesn't mean that you're greedy or something. Anyway, if for example we consider books as medicine, we understand it is good to have many at home rather than few. And when you want to feel better, then you go to the medicine closet and choose a book. Not a random one, but the right book for that moment. That's why you should always have a nutritional choice. Those who buy only one book, read that one, and then get rid of it. They simply apply the consumer mentality to books. That is, they consider them a consumer product, a good. Those who love books know that a book is anything but a commodity. Yeah. Well put, Mr. Echo. And the last one is medieval city had no welfare state. It had parishes. If you were a known parishioner and fell into poverty, the parish had a legal duty to feed you. If you're a stranger, you were directed to the hospital at the gate. The neighborhood handled it 600 years before the government tried. Yeah, I think this is the way, like, whether it's going to be the religious community or community, but like it's um, like simply like and taking care of the poor is not simply like some moralistic stuff or like because Jesus and charity and stuff. If you own nothing and are still unhappy, you're probably American. uh, I think lots of other people too own nothing and are still unhappy, but anyway, so this isn't simply about the virtue of charity or anything like that. It's a very like a practical solution to potential problems, because imagine you have, I don't know, Bob the farmer, and then he loses his farm or whatever, his job in a freaking flood, and then he becomes homeless. Like, you don't want him to become homeless, because he might become a beggar who is a drunkard beggar who's gonna harass people, or maybe he's going to become a criminal and so forth. So it's good for the community to help people who are down on their luck, because most people who are poor or homeless or whatever, it doesn't mean that they're just, because they're too dumb or lazy. Like some people might be like that, certainly. Like some people who simply maybe, there's not much you can do to help them. Like Lao Tzu said that, give a man a fish and he'll eat for one day, and teach a man to fish and he will eat for a lifetime. Like maybe some people are too dumb to ever learn how to fish, but I think most people, they have the basic wish to provide for themselves, and I think this is the way to form a community. I have an old German Mauser. I'm so happy. Oh, that sounds cool. But I should go. This is the last tab, and I can hear my son waking up. So I'm Adventure Argonaut. I thank you for watching, and bye bye.